All right, guys, welcome to Florida's Drinking Report. I'm your captain, Dave Boucher, joined again by my co-captain, Brian Tonneson.
Hey-o!
And our other first mate, I should say, Emily Hayhurst.
Hello.
What a promotion.
Right?
We're,
about time.
About time. And we're extremely happy to be joined today by Andy Dehart, President and CEO of Loggerhead Marinelife Center. Thank you, Andy, for being on today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's I've been waiting for this for 9 episodes.
It's more like thank you for having us. I mean, we're on your campus
No,
today.
I mean, we're coming to you today from Loggerhead Marinelife Center up on the party deck, for lack of a better term.
Yep, Ocean View Sky Deck.
Ocean View Sky Deck. So it's a great spot to be at. We've hosted a lot of parties up here, especially Turtle Fest coming up pretty soon, February 22nd, 23rd.
Yeah, last weekend in February. It's our big annual party to kick off turtle nesting season. This is the first time we've done a 2-day event. We have live bands all day, every couple hours, a new act on stage, vendors. This area up here, the Ocean View Sky Deck, is going to be a Sailfish Brewery, Vita Cana, rum, tiki bar.
Fun.
Awesome. Looking forward to it again.
And Turtle Fest is one of those, it's not really a hidden gem because I feel like the 4 counties in Florida close by all gravitate here.
Yeah.
The amount of buses that are driving people in, but man, is it a great time for the family, and the fact that there'll be some really great beer here for the second year in a row. That's
Yeah, speaking of that, I mean, last year we it was a 1-day event, and we had I think 60 or so cases here.
Yep.
And we ran out of beer by 2 o'clock that day.
yeah.
So we're definitely going to plan accordingly for a 2-day event. Quadruple that amount. So make sure we don't run out.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think that really is the value of you guys as a partner. You guys brought beer. You brought it to our event so that we can actually make profit off that to keep to keep Loggerhead Marinelife Center the free attraction that it is. It was just rated the USA Today best free attraction in the entire country.
Jesus.
But we have to do that through partnerships like we have with you guys at Sailfish Brewing Company.
No, and we're celebrating, basically a year under our belt for this first year of partnership with Loggerhead. And, coincidentally, our Hazy IPA, which, some of us are drinking today. And before I get too far, sticking with the fact that this is a drinking report, Brian, what are you drinking today?
I mean, we are at Loggerhead Marinelife Center, and if we're in partnership with Saving Little Baby Turtles, you gotta have a Hazy IPA.
Cheers, brother.
Sounds great,
Come
man.
on.
Miss
And
Emily?
I had to work with Emily yesterday, and I didn't have a single one of these, so I think I'm going to put down a couple today.
All right, good deal.
I'm light tackle, as always. Light
As
tackle.
always.
It's easy. It's light. I can have several.
Andy, what do you get?
Well,
no surprise?
I've been working on a beer partnership that actually had meaning for the last 20 years, and it's taken to meeting the Sailfish Brewing Company team to actually get this, where we have co-branded sponsorship. We've got a great beer. I'm an IPA fan, so having this as a beer that I love to drink, not just because our logo's on it. But yeah, I mean, it's been 20 years in the making for me at 3 different aquariums. But really, they were non-measurable things, and it was, we'll give you a little portion of a small limited batch that we only serve in the poorhouse.
Yeah.
It really wasn't a measurable partnership, and immediately when I met you guys and your team, it was a common desire to do good for turtles and the oceans, because you guys are it says born and raised in Florida on the can, but I think the ocean part of Florida is what you guys have really been advocates for.
No, for sure.
Yeah. And I couldn't have thought a better partnership, and for me, 20 years in the making, I will drink a Hazy IPA every day. It's like
Happy for it.
Cheers to you,
Cheers.
fellas.
And I'm joining Emily in the Light Tackle Club, but I have Hazy on deck afterwards. And I did want to point out, too, to Andy's point, we've beyond excited about the partnership we established over a year ago, and there's a QR code in the can. You can find it at your own local grocery stores. Scan that QR code, learn some information about the partnership and how you can help out turtle conservation and basically marine life conservation through this partnership, and mainly through what Loggerhead Marinelife Center here is doing. So
absolutely, we love having you guys as partners. The fact that you guys are here on campus, not just today. I mean, it's easy to say, they just showed up for a podcast, but you guys are here for everything. You're here for By the Sea lecture series. That's our monthly lecture series. All that we serve is Sailfish Brewing Company beers. You're here for our donor events that really have no huge marketing appeal for you guys, but you guys are here. You're part of our campus, and you're part of our team.
And the same goes to say about your team too. I mean, the events we've done so far with you guys, the excitement level. Because you guys have over 200 volunteers.
400.
Oh, sorry, 400 volunteers. A lot of those are up in the Treasure Coast in St. Lucie County primarily. And these guys turn out, whether they come into the tap room in Fort Pierce or Vero, or any event we're doing. Like we did Beer Mile last year. We did a lot of different events. You guys show up, and some of the turtle talks we did in the tap room, turtle trivia, turtle bingo. I mean, your teams just really embrace this, and for us, same thing. Years in the making for us as well too. Having a real partnership like this, where it actually reciprocates and really focus on what we're trying to do is basically raise awareness.
Absolutely, and I think we've done okay. We got a lot more to do.
Yeah, we got a lot more to do. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun year for sure. So
Absolutely
excited about that. So diving into our new segment on the podcast that Emily came up with on the last podcast is Hop Topics.
Working on a name, but
Working
Hop
on it.
Topics.
All right, Brian's gonna introduce that for moving
We're
forward.
working on
Are you going to get Jim Gaffigan to do Hop Topics?
He's invited.
Okay.
Brian doing that is why we're working on a new name.
Not to be confused with the store in the mall.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
We're Hot Pockets.
Maybe it's both. Maybe it's
Okay.
a place that
Tune
you
in
can
next time for
you
the
can
new
get
name.
goth clothing that's packaged in a pizza.
In a pizza-like
Yeah.
substance.
Just so you guys
I
know
got this Goonies T-shirt, but it has pepperoni in it for some.
just so you guys know the rules. So
Hop Topics.
this came about because Emily stumbled upon this show. It's been on the air for 30 years called PTI, Part of the Interruption. She's like, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, it's a show we used to watch." And
I knew what it was.
anyways, long story short, Emily's got 7 to 10 topics that she's going to ramble off. We're going to all talk to them for about a minute, 2 minutes, and move on to the next one. There's a little
We
buzzer
move
that
on
goes
when
off.
she says, "Shut up, Brian."
So I'm going to change it to 2 minutes. 'Cause I feel like a minute 30 is too short.
Sweet.
Especially for Brian.
Yeah,
Agreed, especially for Brian. I'm really glad the budget's on there for Brian sometimes, honestly. So
it's all good.
I'm surprised it's Brian and
The story of
not
my
me.
life.
It's
All right.
usually me.
So I'm going to turn it over to Emily and go ahead and start the clock.
All right. First Hop Topic.
Topic.
Y'all are so canceled. Weirdest sea creature.
Blobfish. Hands down, blobfish.
I think they're cute. Ugly
Dave,
cute.
Dave. She thinks blobfish are cute.
They're cute.
Have you ever
Welcome
seen
to my
them?
world, Brian.
It looks like a person when it's out of water. It looks like a melted human being.
Yeah, it's cute.
You said so weirdest, like weirdest looking or just,
Just
weirdest?
weird. What everything's weird, Dave.
Or fish for me. I mean, it's the harbinger of doom. When people see them,
Yeah.
they think bad things are going to happen. But I mean, you talk about how long we've explored the ocean and how few of these have ever been seen.
Right.
Crazy stuff.
I
mean,
think one recently washed up,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, they come to the surface sometimes when they're distressed or not doing well. I think that's why they call them harbinger of doom, because they're on their way out.
It's quite a nickname for a sea
Yeah, I mean,
creature.
like, how do you own that name, right?
Right.
Like, so, but I mean, just a cool fish.
Or
I
how
mean,
do you communicate that like calmly? Oh, don't worry, it's just our impending doom. No sweat.
hey, I mean, you got clout in the fish world, right?
Right.
Like, watch out, buddy. I'm the harbinger of doom.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I feel like sawfish doesn't get enough representation. That's a unique fish when
That's
you think
fair.
about the structure of that fish.
They're
Oh,
cool.
they're
Yeah.
one of my favorites.
Question
I've
is,
gotten to work with.
creepiest or weirdest?
Weirdest,
Just most
whatever.
interesting. Yeah. Weird, maybe.
Narwhal will go up there too. I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that's
those are
that's
cool.
a weird looking thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anglerfish are it for me.
very cool.
Those are weird.
Yeah, I've gotten to work with sawfish for most of my career. Just
Okay.
an amazing. They're actually a type of ray. They're not a shark.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
They are a type of ray. There are saw sharks as well. So there's actually two very different species that have kind of morphed together in evolution to have similar roles. But they can go through a massive school of fish, just whack back
That's
and
the whole
forth.
deal.
with
Is like
that
they're just
saw.
basically chopping them up.
Yep.
Kind of like a billfish does, more or less. Just goes and
Absolutely.
A
slices them up.
blobfish can do that to any fish in the sea just by looking at it. With its
Just
melted
stares it
mouth,
down.
like I'm on person.
But he's cute.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah,
A face only her mother could love.
yeah. That's what I was thinking. Good God.
Narwhals, though, that was a good one.
Okay.
It's like the unicorn of the sea.
Absolutely.
Literally.
Actually, there
Unicorn?
actually is a narwhal. There is not unicorns.
All right, moving on.
All right. How do you take... Stop it, Dave.
It's very loud.
Yeah.
Sorry,
All
let me reset this real quick. Apologize.
Thank God
All
Nick
good.
knows how to edit.
Okay, go. Sorry.
Topic 2. How do you take your Pop-Tart?
Who's that
I'm gonna
going
go
to first?
and I'm going to say the blueberry one, toasted with butter.
You add butter?
You
Yes.
add butter.
You
Bold
add
strategy.
it's not butter.
Because it's not
Right.
It's not.
congealing enough.
It's not, it's not the question I was prepared to answer. It's
Okay.
just
You
how
might
I,
wanna look at
how
the
I like it.
saturated-
I'll get my pub sub, roll it in bacon fat, and be like, "That's awesome."
Honestly,
Deep fried.
probably
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
It probably-
deep fried Pop Tart would probably be the best way, but I've never had it that way.
But it doesn't count, Andy.
Okay, I will take
Butter on a Pop Tart.
I
How do you take your Pop Tart? It's because we know one person sitting to my right that butters their Pop Tart with jelly and peanut butter in the two. That's how I take it. Yeah.
That's not bad. That's a good idea.
No, I wouldn't. I'd like living. I think you just cease to live after putting something on a Pop-Tart. It's already like the worst thing in the world.
And then there's unfrosted, there's not frosted, so I like the unfrosted kind. Which
Okay, so
very
you
unpopular.
replace the frosting with butter.
Right.
See, I will match you with blueberry,
'Kay.
but the blueberry frosted minus the butter and toasted.
Toasted. Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
definitely
the thing.
toasted,
Nobody.
yeah.
Well,
No,
that's
no microwave.
controversial.
That's just nasty.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, Pop-Tart as in pop from the toaster.
Yeah.
Not pop from the metal that's in the
Yes.
Pop-Tart from the microwave.
Honestly, though,
Topping.
one of my favorite things. I'm so done with y'all.
Yes.
One of my favorite things though is when you microwave it and it like goos up and bubbles up in the middle, and then like you take it out and it deflates.
That
I
means
love
that means you've nuked it way too long.
As it
I
starts
mean-
bubbling up and turns to life.
It's delicious.
Caramelizes.
Dave, your favorite?
Honestly, I'm a sucker for the frosting it comes with. Yeah, so pretty much any flavor with the frosting on top, nice and crispy toasted.
You don't have a favorite?
But not the maple syrup ones. Those are
Oh,
nasty.
yeah, no,
It's too
because
much.
it's not quite maple.
Yeah.
I only like the fruit ones. I don't like the s'mores or the
All right,
weird shit. They
better
come out
discussion, toaster strudel or Pop-Tart?
Toaster strudel.
Toaster
There you go.
strudel.
Yeah, toaster
There you
strudel.
go.
All day.
All right, just in time.
Crushed it.
Thank goodness this covers hot topping.
I wanted to discuss what y'all think about the recent potential findings of UFOs in the ocean.
Not surprised.
I mean, I know we're not surprised, but yay. Apparently, there's a whole base of aliens in right off the island of Guadalajara.
Well, they do drink a lot of tequila there. Possibly.
Well, there's like no population there. There's like 150 people.
Right,
And then they recently
they're-
blocked
and
it
they're
off.
all eating the worm from the bottom of the mezcal, and you see a bunch of things coming out of the water. And yeah.
So do we think they're
So
among
I'm a
us?
scientist, right? I'm not going to believe anything until I see it, just because I've been trained in the scientific method. Do I believe in the ability to have UFOs in the ocean? Absolutely. But I also know we've explored space more than we've explored some
Right.
of our deepest parts of the ocean, which is staggering, right?
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
from you look at where we've put our priorities, we sometimes understand space more than we understand our own planet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to put my conservation hat on and say we really need more funding for exploring the oceans. If we find UFOs, awesome.
Yeah.
If we find more oarfish that are partying with the aliens, like way to go, man, way to go.
It's all the weirdies down there hanging out
Maybe
together.
in Guadalajara.
Anglerfish, oarfish, and aliens just hanging out.
Anglerfish.
Existed in the
all
dark.
of 'em.
It could be just a
Megalodon.
bunch of blobfish surfacing, and
Mermaids.
people from Guadalajara are like, "Oh my god, it's a person."
You never know.
Just normals. Just normies, if you will.
All right. Moving on?
Yeah.
Moving on.
Okay.
All right. Wings. Naked or sauced?
Naked and sauced.
You gotta pick one.
It's naked or breaded. Sauce is like a given.
I mean,
If you're
they're
having-
kind of already. They're already breaded. They come breaded.
No, they don't.
No, they come in skin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's skin or with bread.
Is that what that means?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, Nate, this is a short, dude. She knows what old Greg is, but not what naked wings are.
Wait. So how did they just coat this?
So,
I'm bothered.
fried chicken. Sometimes they add a batter to it and then they put it in the fryer. They do that with wings sometimes too, but you can also just drop wings in the fryer with the skin around them, which is the true buffalo way to serve them.
which is that is Duff's exclusive.
Duff's. So,
Yeah.
having lived in Buffalo and being an avid Buffalo Bills fan this year because of Matt Collins,
Yeah.
I only eat wings one way, and that's the Buffalo way.
Yep.
And then Duff's is my, when you move to
Duff-
Buffalo, you got to choose Anchor Bar or Duff's.
It's Duff's.
I'm a Duff's guy.
No, 100%.
I've never had either.
Oh,
You have to go.
What is,
I like-
Anchor, what is
a
Anchor Bar?
pilgrimage.
Like the competing bar?
Anchor
Or-
Bar
so-
is the
so they-
original. Yeah, you
Well,
go for
they,
it.
they both say that they've invented
Right.
wings, and so they both claim ownership of that.
Okay.
And so, it's almost like you move to the environment, and they're like, "Are you a Duff's fan or an Anchor Bar fan?" And you're like, well, "You kind of have to choose right away."
Anchor
it's
Bar
like
got
Pepsi
the
or
mar-
Coke. What do you want to? What do you
Anchor
want
Bar
to
got
drink?
to the marketing strategy first. They were a bunch of like their kid came home from college and they fried up wings and threw in Tabasco sauce and butter and said, "We invented this." And there was a bar right up the road. It's like, "We've been doing this forever." And Duff's is far above and beyond the best wing in Buffalo, and they're naked and sauced.
So my thing is, I've lived in several places in my life. Omaha, Nebraska, so that ruined like steaks for me.
Of course.
So the whiskey filet mignon from one of the restaurants in Nebraska. That's the only place I'll eat steak.
Okay.
Living in Buffalo, it's kind of ruined wings for me when you're here.
Right.
And then I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland. So crab cakes, The only way to get Maryland crab cakes is in Maryland.
legit-
Everything else is a lie.
Hey, if you like Old Bay, that's your.
I love.
I
Old
like
Bay.
Hooters wings. So
those are breaded and sauce.
Really?
Extremely. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they're double.
We'll just have to have a beer and wings day where we have both, so you know.
Yeah,
You're
I guess
invited,
so.
Andy.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
do a wing tour.
I'll eat them just
I'll
to
bring.
support Sailfish.
I buy sauce from Duff's.
Oh yeah.
Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's the
I like
only
how
way.
this one went over and no one told anybody to shut up. Usually we're yelling at each
We're
other.
beyond that.
All right.
We're yelling at each other. It's you
Shut
yelling
up,
at other
Brian.
people. Hop topics.
Hop topic.
Hot dogs. Does chili belong on them?
Yep.
Yes. And what's your favorite hot dog topping?
Who's the question to? Me?
Everybody.
Everybody. It's open debate.
Well, I think chili is like a bacon flowchart. It belongs on everything.
Agreed.
So, if you ever seen the bacon flowchart, where you just
Yeah.
kind of follow the pathway, does bacon belong? And it's pretty much yes. So, I think chili, other than like cereal,
Yeah.
chili belongs.
Here's the thing.
It's a bowl, but not necessarily.
At a
Right.
baseball game, if you're putting chili on your hot dog, you're doing something wrong. Because
Really?
you cannot do chili dogs at a baseball
A
game.
naked dog
The shit gets
pisses me
everywhere.
off.
It's hard
That's
enough.
true.
Yeah.
Naked dog with diced onions on it.
Naked dog, diced
So
onions, hot
plain.
mustard, game
I'm a
over.
saucy dog kind of girl. I put chili, slaw, ketchup, munions, mustard.
Those are West Virginia onions that are dipped in mustard. Munions.
Honestly, that's a good one. But I like that bad boy
I like my
dripping
Munions
and
breaded.
overflowing.
Breaded hot dog, deep fried hot
Full of
dog.
it today. All right, joke's on me today.
I like bratwurst.
You haven't even told us your hot dog.
No, I did. I
Just naked?
here's the thing. Chicago dog is always money.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All my favorite things
I was
on one
just
hot
at Yankee Stadium. The 99 hot dog. It's an enormous hot dog with chopped onions, hot mustard, and that's that. Game, set, match.
Is it
Dog.
called a 99 hot dog? Is it $99?
Yes, and it's
Probably.
named after Aaron Judge.
Okay.
And if he leaves the team, it's still the 99 hot dog.
They did one at PNC Park, and of course they did like all the famous things that Pittsburgh's known for, and they did ketchup, pierogies,
Really?
pickles,
Okay,
and I think
I sent that picture to you. First
something
of all,
else
it was like a
weird.
3-foot hot dog.
Yeah.
Pierogies
It had
on
about
a hot dog?
800 pierogies on it, Heinz ketchup, and like
Yeah.
57 sauce, all sorts of stuff. It was unreal.
apparently
More-
it's awful.
More importantly, best place for a hot dog, ballpark.
Dune dog,
Dune dog.
Oh,
Dune
yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
Dune dog, no doubt.
Okay,
But a ballpark is great too.
better than the roast beef at the Ritz.
Well, I got one more, and it's just because I feel a certain way about these creatures, not the same way that I feel about dolphins, but a similar way. Orcas.
What about them?
What do you think about them?
It's the smartest marine animal, in my opinion. The most intelligent marine animal. They're able to adapt different regions of the world. They're doing different hunting techniques.
They're terrifying.
It's this, and all these people like in Washington boating and like, oh sweet, look, we got an orca
Yeah.
chasing us.
They're flipping boats.
Get out of here! Like,
Yeah.
put down the camera and fear for your life.
I feel
That is
like-
the greatest hunter on the planet.
I would be more afraid to see an orca in the ocean than I would be a shark.
Yeah,
I feel like they're
There's
very...
never, to my knowledge, there's never been a wild
in the wild.
attack on a person from an orca. So
I thought that was the whole point.
the orca populations actually are very mixed. Some feed exclusively on marine mammals like seals and
Humans?
sea lions, and the others feed only on fish.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was like their thing of where they're just like they torture the seals. They like will
Don't-
literally like play volleyball with the seals.
I mean, yeah.
they play with their
I
food.
paid good money to see that, by the way.
Oh my god!
I mean, they're
Pacific Northwest orca versus Atlantic orca.
they're trying to not get hurt.
Seal volleyball.
They're trying to not get hurt in the process of eating their meal, right?
Right.
I mean, that's the same thing. Is you want to. There's been a lot of footage of orcas feeding on great whites. They grab
Yeah.
them quickly by the tail, flip them over, and then they eat the liver. But I've had a couple times in my life where I've got to be very close to orcas. I went to summer camp in Orcas Island in the San Juan Islands in Washington at 14, 13 years old in a 20-foot birchwood canoe and having pods of orcas come
Wow.
out
Yeah.
right. I mean, you could like poke them in the eyeball. They were so
Wow.
close.
Same.
They would exhale and you'd have to like clean your face off.
I think they're beautiful.
They're
They're-
amazing.
but
And then we went
they
to Alaska
terrify me.
to film a shark called the salmon shark for Shark Week. And we got in the water with orcas many times, and they're amazing to be around.
They're magnificent, but still scary as hell.
Yeah, you haven't changed my mind on them.
They're awesome.
Well, I think it's
I-
perception, right? It's like the SeaWorld aspect of them attacking the trainers because they're kept in captivity. But like
Right.
most stories you think about, dolphins,
Dolphins
orcas,
are
like
the-
they're always helping for
Right.
some reason. Yeah.
I don't know if they're helping.
even the captive stories are very different. Obviously, I have some of my life in public aquarium world, and I know the teams at SeaWorld and the places that do have orcas, and there are no more passionate people that are
Oh, yeah.
dedicated to their care. It's the same thing that you see with elephants or any large mammal, is they don't understand their own strength. So it's not an aggression thing. It's just I don't understand
How big you
what
are.
that thing
Yeah.
is capable of, or what you're capable of. I mean, like, we kind of would have the same thing when you squish an ant. I don't think you really know how much stronger than that ant you are.
Yeah, that's fair.
The intellect of the orca, the funniest video I've seen in the last 2 weeks is at some aquarium in Mexico. The orca drops a dookie in front of the splash
Oh,
zone,
yeah.
swims away, jumps up, lands on its back, and shoots the water right into the crowd of people.
Pooped on everybody.
Wow. That is like elite level trolling right there.
I
That's a
agree.
bad day to be in the splash
That
zone.
would be.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's you're not bringing that poncho home that day. I'll never sit in the splash zone again.
So we're Team No Orca over here. So
I think we're
Good
team orca,
try.
yeah.
convincing me, Andy. Didn't work.
No, it's some of my most amazing experiences have been in my time in Alaska with either gray whales, orcas, sea
incredible.
otters. I mean, it's just getting to experience something much bigger than you. That's as intelligent as you are is pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
How
man.
about
Stuff-
that guy that got swallowed by the humpback whale and lived?
yeah, man,
Jonah?
clearly not intentional.
Pinocchio was a fictional story.
Right.
That's not what I was talking about. But the real guy,
Yeah.
not the fictional guy. He lived.
Wrong
he got
place,
out.
wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
He literally got
wrote-
swallowed by it.
They wrote a book about that.
How did he get out? Shut up.
I want to be a real boy.
I feel like this is just a Jokes on Emily podcast today. Which
you
y'all
can hear,
can sense
you
how
can hear
sleepy
what
I
we're
am.
saying today. So
No, maybe it's because you sense the weakness in my tiredness today, and you're like, all right, she's weak. We got
I
her.
am not an orca, ma'am.
Anyway, moving
I'm a
on.
blobfish.
That's all I've got for Hot
speaking
Topics.
Of, Andy, your experience. I mean, you have just an amazing backstory before coming to LMC here. What you've done. I mean, you kind of started off in your fascination with sharks, right?
Mhm.
And that was like kind of what spurred you into marine biology and the path you went down. I mean,
Yep.
you've done a lot and traveled a lot and seen a lot, all over the world in the marine environment. So, I mean, what was your kind of coolest experience doing all that?
I mean,
doing all that.
That's a hard question, right? Because so I learned how to snorkel at age 4. My dad got me in the water, put fins and mask on me when we were in Puerto Rico. He was working for NOAA at the time, and just like, whoop, there you go. 8 hours later, he's like, dude, like, we got to go eat dinner. At the age of 5, I was snorkeling in the Florida Keys on Big Pine Key, and I got to see a 6-foot Caribbean reef shark at the age of 5. That's kind of a bathing suit soiling experience and an amazing experience all at the same time. So I told my parents right then and there, I'm going to be a shark biologist. I think every day since, they were like, no, well, we hope this just goes away. You grow
it's a
out of
phase,
it.
Yeah.
I started work at the National Aquarium in Baltimore when I was 15, selling tickets. I wore the puffin costume a couple times, and told kids not to spit in the tanks and
Brian's familiar
all
with
that
the
good stuff.
costume wearing.
But yeah, so I mean, one of the things I fell in love with the public aquarium world is that you're hands-on with animals. You're seeing things every day that nobody gets to experience because it's the same animals. You're working with the same group of animals. So one of my coolest experiences, we had a tiger shark at an aquarium in Omaha, Nebraska. And because of kind of me working so closely with that animal, every time I would get in the exhibit with scuba gear on, it would come down and kind of whack me on the forehead with its pectoral fin, its side fin. Just seeing an animal that, for my days at 5 years old wanting to be a shark biologist, hearing tiger sharks are mindless eating machines. This clear was not mindless. It was not an eating machine. I had to like hand feed it some things because it would I don't like that food today.
Yeah.
You have to go get it something else.
What animal is this?
Is it a tiger shark?
Okay, that's what I thought you said.
So I think, between those experiences, experiencing my time, so I had probably the best job in the whole world for about 7 years. I was the shark advisor for the Discovery Channel.
Oh, wow.
Got to
that's awesome.
got to do 7 Shark Week shows, where you're just exploring what's going on and doing some cutting edge stuff. But really, for me, I've always had kind of attraction, aquarium world at the front and center, and then conservation is a very close second. And this opportunity at Loggerhead Marinelife Center was a chance to be conservation first, and attraction is a very, very close second. And we just have such an amazing team here, where our main focus areas are sea turtle rehabilitation, research, conservation, and education. We've just got a dynamic team that is just making incredible progress on the health of sea turtles, not only in the ocean but in the rehabilitation center. We're looking at kind of all the effects affecting sea turtles, like global climate change, beach renourishment projects, all those things, and how that's affecting sea turtles globally. Is the protection working? What we do know is that we protected sea turtles about 40 years ago federally. Those protections have helped, but we still have to do a lot more.
Yeah. You were saying previously, with just the population of turtles increased so much because you're at that kind of maturity standpoint. And after that 40 years of focus on conservation, you're starting to see that actually happen. And this facility here, I mean, I remember when it was on the other side of the parking lot. My little sister used to work there in high school.
That's crazy.
When it was like the open air tanks and this little house there. And to see what you guys have now here and the team in place. I mean, you guys just got a new MRI machine or CT scan?
CT, yeah. So we're one of the, a lot of the big zoos in the world have CT technology, CAT scan. But there's not many rehabilitation centers. To my knowledge, we're the only marine rehabilitation center that actually has its own CT machine, and that's on the donation of one of our very generous benefactors. We are donation based. We don't charge a ticket to get into Loggerhead Marinelife Center. So come out and experience what we have to offer. It's an amazing time. We've got amazing volunteers out on the floor that'll talk to you about all of our patients. That's kind of unique for us, is that you actually get to see patients in care. At a lot of the rehabilitation centers, you're seeing patients that are non-releasable. So they're long-term permanent residents. One of the things that's unique to us is you're actually seeing patients during their care. And then the patient you came and saw last week might be back in the ocean.
Because you guys, your releases are very short notice. Like, you don't plan these out months at a time. It's a week notice. Hey guys, releasing 2 turtles, and we actually wrapped the second to last one you guys did.
Came in Finley, man. So I'm go right back in.
So that's a process very well orchestrated with Florida's Fish and Wildlife Commission. So we are all of our processes are permitted through Florida's FWC. We basically get to a point where we feel an animal has gone through its rehabilitation process, it's ready for release. We work with Florida's FWC very closely, and we ask where it can be released. Obviously, if we can do it in our backyard, we do it. We've had up to 3,000 people come out cheering with signs.
Oh, it's amazing! I mean, you guys have the little tent set up for the VIP donors and
the binoculars.
Yeah, it's a party.
Well, that was for the
hatchling.
The hatchling. That was so cute.
So when we do patient, that we only get a week's window, because we say, hey, we want to release it. FWC blesses it, and then out it goes. So we try to get as many people as we can. Sometimes we do private releases if we don't, if we wanted a smaller crowd, or the patient's not gonna like that big group.
Yeah, it makes sense. No, it's, I mean, the like Emily alluded to, the hatching release was really cool to go to with the night vision goggles and actually seeing that.
It was just like that really beyond pulled at my heartstrings, and just the way of the little leatherbacks. Oh my god, their big old
adorable.
Flappy arms, and so cute.
They're awesome.
It took me forever to figure out the binoculars, but once I did, it was nobody talked to me. I'm looking at these turtles make their way to the water.
Yeah, so that's one of our summertime programs. So we do 2 different summertime programs. The early summer, we do nesting walks. So you'll come at night. You'll be facilitated with one of our permitted staff, and they take small groups to go walk down the beach and actually try to find a nesting sea turtle. We have amazing success rate of about 95%. So if you sign up for one of our programs, there's about a 95% chance that you're going to get to see that activity, either nesting or hatchling.
Awesome.
So
cool.
you come out, you walk, and you get to see a mom turtle crawl up the beach, lay her eggs, and then it's a very facilitated experience. And then later in the summer, when the hatchlings are coming out, we often get nests that they don't hatch very well. Either a fox or a possum might have gotten to the nest, or they might have had some problems getting out of the nest. So we always end up with about anywhere from 10 to maybe 50 of these little hatchlings that aren't going to make it to the ocean. We take them in, and then that night we do that as a facilitated experience.
You have that too, where it's after hours here, anytime really, but you guys, when people are out there just walking and say some are hatching, and then they can take them here in the little cooler tank
Yeah,
out
so
front?
we have a cooler out front. Technically speaking, by federal standards, you're not supposed to handle a turtle, but because there's so many turtles, just for example, last summer we had 25,000 nests. This summer we have 15,000 nests. So just the volume of turtles, there's not enough law enforcement to be able to handle all of that. But we do try to do a lot of education. We don't want people to handle hatchlings that are on their way to the ocean. But we get weird circumstances. Sometimes seagulls pick them up and put them in someone's pool in their backyard because they drop them. We find turtles that end up going the wrong direction.
Right.
Turtles are really sensitive to light pollution.
Yeah.
So they orient to the brightest light. And on certain nights, the high rise across the street is brighter, so they aim that way and they start going towards land. So it's those type of turtles that we have a group of concerned citizens that kind of know how to handle them, and they can drop them off here.
And then the light situation, the purple lights.
Yeah.
Do tell, because I feel like a lot of people don't know about the purple lights and find it very annoying, and I'm like, there's a reason.
Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of flack about that, obviously. So amber's the best. Like a reddish orange light is usually the best. There are actually local ordinances in most of the counties in Florida or cities in Florida. So here in Juno Beach, we're everybody from the mayor down to your everyday citizen really believes in turtles, and it's a special part of living in Juno Beach. So all the houses that face the water typically use amber lighting on the exterior of their houses. If they have like bright TVs, they put the drapes down. Just because we've been here for 40 years and part of this community.
Is that required if you have a house on the water? I love that.
It is required. Enforcement's a little bit harder to do, but yeah, I mean, if you live in the state of Florida and you're on the beach, please convert your outside lights to amber and close your blinds.
Otherwise, a hatchling will be knocking on your door trying to watch Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, and nesting season is March 1st through Halloween, so that's really the time period. It's not year round. But that's, again, why we do Turtle Fest, why we're excited to have you guys for Turtle Fest. That's our big party to say, heck yeah, turtles are coming back and nesting.
Are they doing on the interstate now, too? Is there, like, certain lights on the interstate that are amber colored for that reason?
I don't know about the interstate, but Ocean Boulevard here has amber lighting.
Any roads near the water. You go to the Keys, they have a lot of that down there, too, at night. You're driving, a lot
for some reason, I feel like I
red lights or amber lights.
Driving at one point on the interstate at night, and I was like, damn, these are some low-ass lights. It must be for the turtles.
Yeah. We do get calls about that a lot, even here on the Ocean View Sky Deck, this would be a great place to light it up like Christmas.
Yeah.
We get some clients that rent this space and like, well, we want the white lights on. So, sorry.
That's what you get.
We're a turtle conservatory, ma'am.
You can offer me $1 million. I'm not turning on the white lights. So, I think it's just leading by example, and then that's part of our education within this community is the why.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, with that being said, do you think mermaids are real?
You're going to hit me with the hardest one.
Mermaids actually like amber light, so...
Merman, Dad, merman.
I'm probably actually more convinced that there's an alien colony on the bottom of the ocean than there is
mermaids are real. I feel like every mythical creature has to come from some real-life bullshit that happened to somebody.
So if you've been that's why the misnomer is that manatees were mistaken as mermaids.
That I believe. Yeah.
So,
I don't like that story.
This is something, technically a mermaid would probably have to breathe air.
Yeah.
Right?
It's fair, but
and then
where's its hair and its tail? It's mermaid tail and
you haven't been.
Could be seagrass, could be a bunch of things, but
you haven't been at sea for 11 months.
Yeah, I'm sure the stories that came out of that.
Manatees might look a little different after 11 months.
I don't know. I think they're real.
They haven't found Bigfoot.
You're allowed.
Like they have all the technology in the world. They have FLIR cameras. They have sonar. They have drones. And for whatever reason, they can't find them.
Do you think Bigfoot is going to lose the greatest game of hide and seek at this point?
I do, with all the technology that's out there.
No.
But my favorite thing is the Bigfoot expert. Like, we haven't found it.
Right.
These people know everything about it. Like, no, the Squatch actually prefers temperatures like this. And
how would they even know that?
These woods are pretty squatchy. Like, how do you know? How do you know?
I was just in Scotland, right on Loch Ness, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you look at how big, it's very deep.
Right.
But there's no way if there's a monster in that lake or loch that it wouldn't be seen like on a regular
There's
basis.
not enough Belhaven in the world for someone from Loch Ness to be like, you know what, there's something in there.
I'm just gonna go chalk this moment up as
If
I believe
we're having a second beer, can I have that Sunrise?
Yeah, of course.
This is the podcast where we crush all of Emily's dreams.
Literally. Well, no.
Who knew? Well, you never
can't
know.
crush
It's a
her
mixed
dreams.
bag.
She's gonna
No.
say, I know, I don't care.
She's an eternal
Yeah.
She'll
optimist.
have a new dream next week.
I've been around Emily enough to know she's an eternal optimist, so
We do our best.
which is what I love about
Right.
her.
Which definitely is really the catalyst for this partnership at the end of the day. I mean, getting back to 2023 at this point, she was the person that initiated us adopting our first
That's
turtle
100% true.
with you guys, and that just kind of turned into, by happenstance, our relationship with Kenny and
Yeah.
Captain Clean Water, meeting Andy,
It's a
us
full
talking
circle.
about, and he's like, "Oh, I just met the president of Loggerhead. Cool, can I have his number? Let's call and talk to him." And like,
Absolutely.
the trepidation going into that because you're just like so. Like, these guys think we're idiots, like, I mean, they don't want to do something like this, and the receptiveness. And as we got to know, everybody breaks down the barriers, and we try to know each other, and it's just like a very
Beer kind of helps that.
it definitely does. You have a few beers or 20 in our cases sometimes together, and we definitely cut loose, and you guys just feel like family now, and it's
I
was
miss
so-
my girl Peach doing.
Peach is long gone. Peach is out in the ocean.
yeah, she's been gone for a while.
I know she's out there, but I'm saying, where's she at? I haven't checked on her.
I don't know.
We haven't
last
checked the
I checked
tracker,
on
yeah.
her, she's
So
a
I think,
snowbird, so she might be coming back now.
Our vice president of research will probably kill me because I don't know the exact number, but we've had tags stay on over 550 days.
Wow.
Peach was a while
Wow.
ago, if I remember right.
Yes.
So Peach is no longer tagged, or if she is,
She's a
she's
free
not
girl?
transmitting. But yeah,
Our girl's free.
not every. I think that's a misnomer. Is that not every turtle here gets satellite tracked. We put tags, so like a numbered tag on their flippers. So
Yeah.
if they're found elsewhere, every single turtle that leaves here gets a flipper tag. They get a pit tag. So like if you do those little pit tags for your dog or cat, we do those for all the turtles. So if they get scanned, that'll show up. But certain patients that we are interested in the biological data, we can do a satellite tag for. So a satellite tag is $7,500. These are not cheap
wow.
things, and then it's about $3,000 for keeping the data subscription.
Wow.
But we've had a leatherback last year that went all the way up to the Gulf of St. Lawrence, right off Quebec.
Wow.
Got some Labatt Bleu and came back down.
Stayed away from steam whistle.
Yeah, stay away from that. And but again, that's their journey. And then we've had one that's dove almost past the 3,000 foot mark for a
Wow.
leatherback. So we get really amazing data. And what we're working on now is how do we use that data better on our website so that folks, if they do adopt a turtle, or we're working on actually a turtle bracelet that people can use.
I saw those. Literally, it must have been, of course, Apple tracking us always, just like Peach, sick of this shit. Stop figuring out where I'm at. But how they have the bracelets now for manatees, where it's the little, manatee bracelet.
So we're
you can
mermaids.
working on something similar, and then I mean, if you can get a tag into a mermaid, you're like gonna make $1 million.
I mean, what's crazy is about $1 million and wanting to make some. Did you see about how, is it whale vomit?
Yeah, ambrogus and I
Whatever
can never
that
say the
shit
word
is,
right.
but how
that's very valuable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
worth a shit ton of money. And I mean, like, it makes sense why. I mean, no, it doesn't make sense why it would be, but I guess, it's hard as hell to find, but like.
Yeah, it like hardens up like amber, and you can find it on the beach, and it's like one of the most valuable things in the world.
I thought they were using it for
Why is it
skincare.
valuable? This
I think they were
minerals in
using
it, or what
Because
is it?
anything rare is
Okay.
It sounds like we have to
Yeah.
find a whale and give him a couple cases of hazy and call
Hey,
it.
ChatGPT.
It's like a top ingredient in making cologne.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has something to do with like skincare, something stupid, but
I'm
it's
sure
like very.
some van-
Would you
something-
like to smell like whale vomit?
Something vain.
Who found that out?
You know what? That's neither.
Who's like, oh, this whale just totally Ralphed on the beach. I want to spray it on my wrists. Like, who?
But that's what you wonder, right?
Yeah, but it's like who finds out most things? It just happens. So
Right.
you'll
Yeah.
see
Right.
over time.
Who ate their first omelet? Let's be
Yeah.
honest, right?
Yeah, but it's like, okay, eggs
a
are,
lot of things I
Like, I
wonder.
get that with eggs. It's like, all right, I can do more than 1,000 things with this one thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who's like, oh man, this is the obvious solution that this whale vomit will turn into CK1.
I always wonder how many people died before they tried shit and figured out it's poisonous or you can't have. Like, who cracked open an oyster was like,
That's exactly
this is
what
gonna be
happened to the
good.
mermaids. That's what.
They
that's
didn't
where they
kill
went.
the mermaids.
When food is as rare as it probably was back then,
Yeah.
anything you find
Oh,
that
yeah.
you can possibly eat inside of
Yeah,
it,
but-
we're gonna try it out. So,
Right.
yeah.
If you don't know.
Yeah, this thing's not running away from me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna try and eat that thing. Yeah, we'll see if it doesn't kill me.
Yeah, pardon me for being Emily for a moment, but that's what I think would happen to the dodo. I just think it was delicious and it was easy to catch.
Wait, people were eating dodo?
Probably.
Well, I mean, that
I haven't heard that one yet.
That really is what started the troubles for sea turtles. Was the early mariners would capture sea turtles because they were easy to catch.
Right.
They would come to the surface. They would oftentimes be floating at the surface. And the horrible thing is, from an animal cruelty standpoint, they would actually take turtles, tie up their flippers, put them on their back because they breathe air, so they could still live on the sailboat for a number of days.
Oh my gosh!
So I mean, I think we have to understand. Back then, food was scarce. It was but I think as we've evolved as a society, but turtles for consumption was really, there was two problems. Their shells were very valuable for jewelry and combs and things, but then they were actually harvested extensively for meat.
Wow!
And then the third problem that sea turtles faced was bycatch, so they'd be caught in other fishing gear, nets. So about 40 years ago, 35 years ago, when the protections happened for sea turtles, one of the best parts of sea turtle conservation came into play, and that's the TED. It's a turtle exclusion device. So at the end of a big seine net and purse net, there would be a box with a flap trap. So if something heavy enough, like a sea turtle, would hit that turtle exclusion device, it would spit the turtle out, and then the boat would keep going. But protection and the turtle exclusion device were huge game changers.
No, that's amazing.
Turtles. That's really.
It's funny to talk about just people that used to eat and harvest turtles. But I mean, Emily and I were in Colombia a couple of years ago, and I remember we stayed in this kind of little house on the water. But I remember one of the woman working there was, so the fishermen were coming back with turtles in their boats.
Yep.
And she was exchanging the fishermen for pieces of chicken to release the turtles back.
Really? That's great.
But just thinking about people are still getting
Harvesting.
turtles. Yeah.
I mean, turtle soup. That's a.
Yeah, I mean it's illegal in most places in the world, but I think we know that there's black market for stuff, and honestly, if you're in a culture where you're living meal to meal, I mean that's where you see a lot of poaching happen, because and unfortunately it's nice to live in the United States and live a fairly privileged life where we have food security that other countries don't have.
Right.
Not everybody certainly, but. I think it's a different aspect. I think it's easy for us here in this chair to say, oh, how could you? Mm-hmm. I think the important thing is what a lot of organizations have worked with those folks, and it sounds like this woman might be one of them, is that how do you change that culture from the ground up? One of the big problems facing sharks is shark fin soup is very valuable, $200 a bowl, but it's served traditionally in China in weddings. And what was key to kind of helping that process is teaching the younger generation what that meant. Yeah. So that the kids had the power to say, Dad, I don't want
this. Isn't good luck for your marriage.
Yeah.
This is
I don't want this at my wedding, and this is not a cool status symbol.
Yeah.
So I think that culture change really, it's one thing to be here in Jupiter and speak to this audience. It's another to speak to other parts of the world. But for me, one of my favorite things about Loggerhead Marinelife Center is it's free, because despite being 10 miles from the beach, there are many kids that have never been to the beach. They've never put their feet in the sand. They've never put their face in the ocean. If we can provide that first experience where kids fall in love with a turtle or a fish or a seahorse, that we have to be free to make that engagement.
Well, to your point, is there's so much you don't know a lot of times, and I've learned a lot, honestly, the year we spent with you guys, and one thing I never really was aware of as much as just how many turtles during nesting season are in that half a mile from the beach, and they're on the surface primarily because of the mating season, and just how much of all the Indian turtles you guys get are ones that hit by boats or props.
Absolutely.
Because people don't have polarized sunglasses on, they're going faster than they should in that radius off the beach there, and they're right on the surface, and it's seeing those, and it's one of those things once you are made aware of that, at least for me, when on the water, that's all I look for now. In that range, that's always top of mind for me. I'm on the radar, looking around and going slow too, not going 50 miles an hour along the beach. Go slow and just be on the lookout for that.
But fuck the dolphin.
Yeah, so we have a sea turtle protection zone program that is working basically now from Jupiter Inlet down to Boca. It's an awareness campaign that in that first mile, and it's actually probably out to 1.5 miles, 2 miles. All we're recommending is that we're not talking about a mandatory speed limit, a no wake zone, but we are talking about people being aware. We understand that in that first 1.5 miles is where the best fishing is. It's where the reefs are. It's where people want to be. You don't go out on a boat and say, I'm going to go out 10 miles just to hang out. Unless you're after something, you don't really do that. So we understand that turtles share the space with boaters. Our job is to really educate and say, hey, just maybe take it down a notch. Polarized sunglasses make all the difference in the world.
Oh, for sure.
But we see two things. Most of our patients come in from human-induced problems. So wrapped up in fishing line, hooks, entangled in plastic trash, ingested plastic trash. But the other big thing is these boat strikes. So it's either the hull of the boat or the propeller hitting them. And we do have a pretty active program about that. And I think that's one of the areas we talked about partnering with Sailfish. You guys are such an iconic brand in the fishing industry, working with Captains for Clean Water. How do we just say, hey, you can still boat. We're not taking that away from you. We're not saying don't go out to the reef during like 9 months of the year.
Yeah.
That would be a doomsday device for us. But understand you share the habitat.
Yeah.
And it's almost the same as if you go to Yellowstone, you got to be bear friendly.
Yeah.
You're not going to go out there with your hot dogs and a backpack. You got to understand the environment.
I mean, we'll send people out there.
I
with
mean,
hot
we
dogs
know
in a backpack.
we know you like the naked hot dogs, but I wouldn't recommend chowing down on them in Yellowstone.
Not sit in the middle of a field or certainly on a mountain.
Well, yes.
yeah.
Anybody can go buy a boat and go take it out and get on the water and just and that's one thing I think we've talked about in the past. Like this year, really focusing on that awareness aspect of that and just making people aware of that. Season we're going into right now until pretty much Halloween. Like that's be on the lookout, guys. And that's honestly prime time on the water in Florida. And
absolutely.
How do we get more people aware of that and just making that more top of mind for everybody?
Yep.
That's a big
some
thing.
of the best fishing, some of the best diving is that time of year, and we recognize that, and we want people to, because I think for me, some of the people that I know are most passionate about the ocean are fishermen and fisherwomen. That is a community that loves the ocean. So to say, well, you can't do that is kind of short-sighted, because I'm a fisher person. I love fishing, and I love being on the water. Yeah. So I think, being on a boat is one of my favorite places to be. So trying to take that away, I think it's just trying to educate so that you can actually have the best of both worlds.
Well, even starting with
the
younger generation too, like running a contest of like turtle spotting.
Yep.
Like that's see them.
Absolutely.
If you see them, you can avoid them.
Yep.
And that's the bottom line. So like, making that more of a something we can develop from a campaign aspect to just run a contest like turtle spotting.
Yep.
Something along those lines would help get people more aware of it, and then actually teach the younger generation coming up too how important that is.
Right.
I don't know. The kids driving these boats these days, God bless. They don't care about nothing.
Some do. Yeah. Some don't.
It's like anything.
It's like 3 or 4 bad apples that spoil the bunch. Yeah. I mean, for every one of those kids that were caught in Boca dumping their trash in the water,
that's where I was going with it.
There's thousands of other kids
and the people that are
very mindful.
People on the water the most are usually the ones that are the most respectful of what's going on. It's the guys that the weekend warriors that go out there and just
or the rental boats, right?
Oh yeah, rental boats are the worst. Yeah.
Well, that's why we got the intercoastal that all these renters don't know how to tackle. Takes them down, and they never rent boats again.
Manatees, dolphins, turtles, they all,
what did you just say?
They are all in the intercoastal.
The intercoastal, where you got
the tackle takes them down?
No, the tide or the I don't know what I said, but
she said the tackle takes them down, and they'll never rent the boat again.
You might want to hide the light tackle.
Sorry, maybe the tackle's taking me down. I've only had like a half of one, but
we had a good day yesterday, so
No, but I think what we're seeing too is, I've seen it in my kid. I've got a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old, and I've tried to get them out on the water as much as possible, get them out hiking, camping. But we know the next generation has nature deficit disorder. And I think
what'd you call it?
Nature deficit disorder.
Okay.
So when I grew up, I was out every day, all day long, digging in streams, hiking through the woods. Setting up little campfires and just living outdoors, coming back when the streetlights were on, and we know that's not the case for today's youth. So we need to find these activities where they can connect to nature, put the phone down, put the tablet down, get off the device, and actually experience
Maybe it's
it.
like a Pokemon Go situation where it's on the device. You
That's what
can't take it out of their hand. How do we make that part of the solution? Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like when Pokemon Go came out, that everybody was. I mean, you were on your phone, but everybody was outside.
But you know what's way better than Pokemon Go? Seeing a real turtle.
I mean, 1,000%.
I know. I guess I'm saying let's meet in the middle somewhere. They only do so much.
It's Squirtle, but for real.
Maybe stop giving your kids e-bikes instead.
I think that's a role that Loggerhead can play. I think there's a lot of great nonprofits that are trying to get kids outdoors, and I think the boating community is also looking at that. How do you get kids involved? And I think where we intersect and Sailfish intersects, Loggerhead intersects is how do we provide the tools to the boating community to do it safely and do it responsibly?
Right.
Yeah. I feel like Scott, your buddy Scott Brown, does a lot with just families and education, and not only just like fishing, but safe fishing and just ocean awareness and everything in between.
Scott's fantastic at that. And I think a lot of the guys that are, charter fishing and taking people out, they're big into. I mean, it's when that's what your livelihood is at that time, you want them to be around for a long time.
Right.
That's why got for Captain Mr. Clean Water. I mean, that's their livelihood.
Absolutely,
you want to preserve it. And we had Mike Holiday on, and the wealth of information he is, and just exposing people to, in the intercoastal waterways we have, how that's changed over the past 40 years. And, and the resilience. And I think what I really resonated with Mike was when he said the resilience that nature has. If you give it the opportunity to rebound, it will. Yeah. But we need to provide that opportunity. Nothing's never too late. Like, we're not too far gone for any situation.
Right.
Taking point, the turtle conservation that happened 40 years ago. You're seeing the benefits of that. Sorry, I'm doing like this.
He's excited about it. He's excited about it.
Save the damn turtles.
Me looking
just
at
do it
you,
already.
Can you calm down over
The seagrass will come back if you leave it alone.
Anyways, so yes.
But I mean, I think we hear it over and over and over and over again, is this doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom. We need places of hope. That's what I hope Loggerhead Marinelife Center is. We've seen that sea turtles in particular, some species more than others, were at the brink of extinction. We know that's the case with alligators. They were at the brink of extinction. Crocodiles are on their way back now.
Yep.
If people care enough about it, we can protect it. And again, I think that's the role of zoos and aquariums. I think it's the role of marine life centers. If people don't see a polar bear, they certainly are not going to care that they disappear. Yep. But it has to be done well. It has to be done sustainably, and it has to be done with a focus on animal care, conservation, and responsibility. But I think we hear too much that hope is gone. I think what we need is more messages that if we actually act together and put parties aside, put politics aside, if we actually focus on
none
the
of that matters for what we're actually talking about. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody loves fishing. It does. When you're out on the water, like, I don't care what party you're in. You're out on the water. You like fishing. You like seeing this stuff. In my world, when I got to do a lot of the TV stuff, I was on every TV network under the sun, and I got an amazing platform to talk about shark conservation. So, I think just getting people to understand the role, and I think a lot of that's lost in the doom and gloom, is why are sea turtles important? Sea turtles are important because they are a bellwether of what's happening in the ocean. So we know the green sea turtles are getting these massive cancerous tumors called fibropapillomatosis. It's a big word that you almost need 3 beers to say. But this is one more. We don't know the exact causes, but we know that when these turtles go out to the weed line 5 miles out, they test positive for the antibodies. So they've been exposed, but it's not until they come to nearshore waters in Florida that they're breaking out with all these tumors. So we know there's environmental conditions. Let's just kind of focus our care and effort to say, why don't we all work together? Why don't we get all the, not just parties, not just politics, but nonprofits in particular have always not done a good job. Research has done a terrible job of, this is my research project, you're not allowed to look at it until it's published. Collaboration has been a weak spot for science and nonprofits. We're now starting to see that change. We're starting to work with Bush Wildlife Center here in Jupiter Farms. We have partnerships with Palm Beach Zoo, and we're working with Cox Science Center and Aquarium. We're working with Gumbo Limbo and Coastal Stewards. How do we do all this stuff together? Because our impact is much stronger if we work together.
No, to your point, the partnerships and the broader reach we all have to cross promote what we're trying to get across. And speaking of partnerships, I mean, obviously, we're the first year of this has been amazing, but you have some other partnerships too with Vita Cana Rum and some other companies like sunglasses and things like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it takes a village, as the saying goes, and I think my board was like, why are we doing this beers partnership? But prior to that, we actually were approached by Vita Cana Rums, amazing team there.
Oh yeah, and Brian's great.
So Brian is an amazing person. We got so
this is a situation where your partners got partnered up as well. Yeah. And Brian was very gracious enough to call me up one day. He's like, hey, I have 2 or 3 barrels I can give you. I'm like, well, I'm never going to turn down a rum barrel.
Is it full?
Yeah. But, we, and that's honestly, at this point in time, like, the best barrel-aged beer is the 1 barrel and rum barrels at this point. And we took those barrels and we put beer in them right away, and we're actually very fortunate enough to actually tap the first barrel yesterday.
Holy cow.
So we
Are
brought
we
a sample
ready?
of that with our amber ale, mixed in with Vita Cana, one of Vita Cana Rum's barrels.
Oh.
So we're going to have some bottles of this for next
Smell
this
the
year,
rum
but like
already.
just...
Brian and I are going to share a cup.
This will be this is in honor of Turtle Fest, really.
It is, yeah.
Is
So we're
it?
going to have some of this out there for
Sorry,
Turtle
I poured
Fest as
that.
well.
So aggressive.
Come taste some of the collaboration with Sailfish and Vita Cana Rum for this amber mix. And honestly, we found that
Oh
our
my
amber
God.
ales worked very well
I didn't pour
in
it that
barrels.
Okay.
And excited to, I actually haven't tasted it yet, the
Good
final
God.
product. So I'll give Andy the...
Yeah, we gotta wait for that to
Oh, that's
simmer
pretty.
down a little bit.
That wasn't me. Take that one.
Okay, so you get the bad pour.
I'll give me the bad boy.
We'll take the bad one, yeah.
Well,
There's no bad pour here, by the way.
I-
Just aromatically, it is all
Smells
rum
lovely.
and all
Delicious.
wood,
Yeah.
and
We're sharing cups today, guys.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Cuties.
past.
Ooh, that smells like...
Lovely.
we're 3 years past COVID, guys. It's
Yeah,
fine.
that's good.
Yeah, the aroma on that, it's not too boozy.
No, it actually is not. It's actually tastes very light.
But that is, oh my God,
Ooh, that's amazing.
Yay.
That's good.
Ooh, that's a balance right there. It's
Yeah.
kind of pretty spot on.
it
I mean,
complements the tag perfectly.
yeah, like the
Like
caramel notes coming through really strongly.
Wait,
there.
did you
Caramel-
talk about what beer we used?
Amber, tag and release.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tag
yeah,
and
yeah.
release.
Yeah,
I didn't hear it, sorry.
Here's the thing.
I was
there's
pouring beer wrong.
There's a vanilla characteristic there that's a little bit overpowering, but it's blended so perfectly.
I'm gonna love
With
caramel
that-
notes from that. That's solid.
It's caramel and vanilla is what
Yeah.
I'm getting big
Yeah.
time, but aromatically, I mean that's everything you want. I mean, first of all, this rum's
oh
completely
my
up my alley.
god,
yeah,
that is lovely.
That's incredible.
yeah.
That
So,
is
you-
so good.
So they approached us. Obviously, their logo is a turtle.
fucking great, is what it
their,
is.
Their brand is Spirit of Slow.
Wow.
The turtle shell is made out of a rum barrel.
Thought you were about to say turtle shell.
So in Florida, we get $1 per bottle sold of Vita Cana, and that kind of led to this follow-up conversation that happened quickly after with you guys. Is like these are the partnerships that work.
Nice.
And again, you know,
So great.
we absolutely are incredibly grateful for the donations that both you guys give to us, because you know, again, we wouldn't operate
Wow.
without the support. But to me, it's this collaboration. It's how do we get our brand to the Treasure Coast?
Wow.
Because we're well known here in North Palm Beach County, but you know, I think that what we do here really resonates with folks from Fort Pierce, from
Oh, for
Vero
sure.
Beach,
Yeah.
Stewart. So how do we get them down here?
Yeah,
to
the
visit?
Treasure Coast travels too, and you
Yeah.
know, like when we had you guys up there for the beer mile, you know, having that benefit towards Loggerhead, and just we had at least like 3. I know Megan was in her turtle costume. There's like 3 other people dressed up as turtles running around. I mean,
Yep.
it resonates with a lot of people,
Absolutely.
and yeah, the awareness, and you know, Megan was set up there with the tent.
Yep.
You know, raising awareness as well too, and
My
just,
favorite thing was when you were like, "Oh, let me get a picture of me handing a beer to Megan the Turtle," and it's some random girl coming. He's like sees her from far away, and it's a random girl. And he's like, "We've got another turtle."
Wait a minute, there's 2.
Yeah, so it was funny.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I mean, I think it's
It's not our turtle.
That's the best way to get reach. I mean, you guys are certainly well known here in Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a lot of local partners. You know, you're one of our favorite restaurants is Hurricanes right next door.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys are there. You're at PA Barbecue.
Oh yeah, good,
Yeah.
another great local partner
Oh
as
yeah,
well
I
too.
mean,
Yeah.
So for me, it's great because I get to walk into any of my local watering holes and
Mm-hmm.
I see Sailfish. So that's always great. But you know, I think it's nice to say, yeah, they're partners of ours. They're part of our group. They're
Oh, yeah.
part of our collaboration. So I try to do that to every restaurant I go in. And
Yeah, and you know, we're doing things already, and if we can involve people, if it's just as a basis of raising awareness, and I'll hint this to everybody because it's still kind of in the works, but we're going to have the first ever Sailfish Golf Invitational Tournament,
Indoor.
indoor golf
Indoor
invitational.
golf.
So we have a good friend of ours, John Buckley, who opened up.
What up, John?
What up, John? Opened up this place called X Golf in West Palm Beach. It's where the old Peter Glenn used to be off Okeechobee Boulevard, and it has 9 golf simulators inside, and it's like nothing you've ever seen before. I mean, we've all, I think, seen golf simulators at like a golf store or something like that. Test your swing. This place is like an immersive experience.
It's like Drive Shack, but indoor and on
That's
a
amazing.
simulator.
Yeah.
it's crazy. I'm not a golfer, and I was blown away.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So like, our idea was like, it's a lot to take on an entire golf tournament on a golf course, but hey, this is a lot more manageable. And our first thought was, who could be involved in this? Was as far as a benefactor, and obviously thought of Andy and your team, Loggerhead, of like,
Absolutely.
being the beneficiary of that charity for that tournament and raising awareness. And we're making it a little more of a lower barrier of entry to a blue collar tournament, for lack of a better term.
Blue collar tournament. That's a great one.
Yeah, food catered by PA Barbecue, our another local partner as well too, and then having some people out there from Loggerhead as well supporting that, and really just continue to raise awareness and leverage our local partnerships. I mean, it's we're in a pretty vast area that has a lot of people in it, that we can expose a lot of people to things, educate people, and hopefully plant the seed for the next generation of awareness, conservation-wise.
Yeah, I think pretty soon that should be available on the QR code. I think some of the details we'll be pushing that out when we start working on it.
Yeah.
Well, they have Hazy in cans, and we'll probably have it on draft that day too. But
Emily, you okay over there?
She's fine.
She's having a hard day. A rough day for Emily.
I don't know what is going on today. Nothing is working. Nothing's working for me. I'm like, going to take
It's
these
the
headphones
dolphin's
off right
revenge.
It probably is. It was because I didn't believe that manatees were potentially
Mermaids.
mermaids.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mermans.
Whatever.
They're getting their
I'm
revenge.
just going to let this
So-
do its thing.
I do want to talk about the remarkable power of Loggerhead Marine Life Center, and I've been in this line of work for a very long time. Hazy IPA was the only beer that the biggest retailer in the state approved, sight unseen, before there was ever liquid in a single can, before we had a UPC, which is that cool little barcode there. They saw our partnership with Loggerhead and immediately, sight unseen, turned it on. I've never experienced anything like that in my life.
That's awesome.
And they're all in for this upcoming year.
That's great.
So, and just in time for the name to change from Hazy IPA to Loggerhead Hazy IPA.
That's awesome. And that's
Yeah.
100% my fault. I get tired of naming beers.
You did.
And
You would not let us name it.
Well,
I was very curmudgeon, very Scrooge-like in that aspect.
Yes.
We could have been really flaky partners. I mean,
That actually wasn't the case. That's been a thing for a while for me.
no.
Like, I didn't name her a lager.
Yeah.
Like Sailfish
No,
lager.
okay.
Just because, like, I got tired of the multiple names of things.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And
Even though your first one was Sunrise City IPA.
I know.
But here's the thing. I think I had a hand in this one about Dave naming a beer, because I'm kind of with him on that one.
I was mad.
Well, it's like
Majority of people are mad.
no, it's like you need to give your beer an identity. But Dave goes, Sailfish is the identity, and
Yep.
here's the style. I'm like, I don't disagree with that.
It makes sense.
But then I'm going to places. I'm like, you gotta try this new beer. It's our Hazy IPA.
Well, what's it called?
What's it called?
What's it called?
Hazy IPA.
Oh.
Right. What's the name? Hazy IPA.
This happened to us literally just
Do
today.
you want to see this cool logo?
It's pretty clear. It says what it is.
Right.
It's a hazy
and
crazy IPA.
and we had kicked around. I think at one point we had opened it up to our wholesaler too. Like, hey, help us name this beer. We had about 2,000 names.
Oh.
Lazy Turtle,
Bodie-
Crazy Turtle,
Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah, Bodie McBoatface legit was one of them. We had that's a real thing. Shout out Nick Sama. But to that end, yeah, Hot Topics. But
We're changing the name.
Nope.
It's stuck now.
No,
It's done.
we're gonna use Andy's Hot Topics and use it as a drop every time it comes up. I'm not
That's
saying
fair.
it anymore.
Voiceover.
That's
Right.
fair.
Right.
Hop topic.
But it just it's what happened?
I'll save it into the recording.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We have buttons on there. Yeah.
It's like a laugh track.
Yeah. It's fucking awesome. We'll
Also,
have
I like
do
the
want to
brew
say
brief.
shut up.
yeah. Shut up, Brian.
It's me. Shut up, Brian.
But and then you have giving
I'm still
can't get
cooking.
beer
Look
enough.
at I'm going.
Giving
Brian brought us warm beer. Sorry, I know you're
Brian
trying
did
to
not
talk.
bring warm beer. It took you guys 3 hours to drink it.
Look at it, sir. It's cooking on me.
Not my fault.
It.
My car has
It
a
isn't your
built-in
fault.
cooler.
Okay, so back
with ice.
because I don't want to
Anyway,
lose the energy on this
no.
one because we're getting a beer called Loggerhead Hazy
No,
IPA.
on the shelves at Publix, it's going to say Loggerhead Hazy IPA, and
Yeah.
it's two things. One, ties into our connections to, our biggest priority being a help for marine life and the habitats and things of that nature, but also ties into the partnership of Loggerhead, and I think it's just
Yeah,
win-win.
it made too much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a simple solution and answer once we figured out we needed to name it. So, yeah.
Speaking of names,
Yes,
I know
sir.
that we have Vitacana, the rum of Loggerhead. We have Sailfish, the beer of Loggerhead. Can this one be Hop Topics?
I love that idea. When we bottle that next year, you can design the bottle too.
for all 200 bottles.
Well, it was
we'll-
even.
We'll
just-
come up with something cooler.
Served greatly with your favorite hot pocket.
Yeah.
Wow.
Served-
Hot pocket, hot
served
Hot
late-
pocket. Yeah.
Or toaster strudel.
Also goes well with other meat or vegetarian pocket
or beyond shark fin, because I know that we can't have real shark fin, but let's have beyond shark fin.
I'm excited to bring it to
A
the next Rum
plant-based
Club.
shark fin.
Rum Club is going to eat that up.
Yeah.
Rum Club was another one of these kind of weird partnerships that came together.
Rum Club?
So I'm part of this group of.
It's a secret society.
Is someone singing?
Just for you.
They're feeding the shark skin.
Okay.
They're feeding the sharks again.
So it usually only has to happen once a day, but okay, apparently today is two. So I mean,
Friday, they're
On
hungry.
the hour, every hour.
So there's this group of legends in the scuba diving industry, people that have really kind of taken diving from when Jacques Cousteau started it to where it is today. Neil Watson.
Oh, these guys are amazing.
Peter
too.
Hughes.
I mean, yeah.
Lad Akins. I mean, just these legends in the dive industry. Stuart Cove, Walt DiMartini. Just these guys that are just legends, and we were able to do a dive rum club night at Sailfish Tap House in Fort Pierce.
In the back of the brewery, not in the tap room,
Yeah.
just for legal reasons. But yeah.
In the
No,
back,
that's the real
so-
VIP back there.
But we were
is,
able
yeah.
to sample
In the
all of
office.
Vita Canya's rums from their 8-year to their 18. He had all these batches made with, in bourbon barrels and
Old
finished in-
fashions, and it was amazing.
crazy.
I mean, I'm not a real big rum aficionado, but the stuff Brian brought and the tastings and all that, I mean, I was sold.
was great.
Stuff was fantastic.
But I
Yeah.
mean, talk about a rock star night. We had like Mac Hollins, pro football player,
Oh, yeah.
Neil Watson, who dove to 427 feet on air, handcuffed himself to the line so he could get his body retrieved if he didn't make it back up. Just these guys are crazy, so
my
it was
gosh.
cool.
And honestly, a blast to talk to.
They're all
and,
down to earth
I mean,
folks.
they pioneered, shark diving, all these
Yep.
things that they started that, and like pretty much Fort Lauderdale in the Bahamas.
Yep.
And it's amazing their stories and the fact they still have all their fingers and hands and everything else. It's almost
And they're
all their feet.
older.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Neil's in his 80s. I mean, I think one of the things
Oh,
for
wow.
me is
Yeah.
again, I think is the same thing as we see with nature deficit disorder with kids is, I think we've failed in kind of recognizing the pioneers in many industries. Eleanor Fletcher, our founder here at Loggerhead Marinelife Center, for me is one of those pioneers. She founded the Juno Beach Children's Museum 40 years ago, which later became Loggerhead.
Wow.
She moved down. She was an educator from the Northeast, fell in love with what was happening on the beach. So she started investigating what was happening. She was one of the first ones to really push for protective measures for turtles. She was the first female to ever get, and the first, I think, to my understanding, the first private citizen, but certainly the first female private citizen to get a sea turtle research and permit. It was
awesome.
so long ago. They issued the permit in her husband's name. It's like Mrs.
Wow.
It's like Mrs. Mr. It's crazy. So I think part of for me being in this dive rum club is kind of recognizing what these pioneers did, and I mean you see it in every industry. I'm sure. Some of the only few I think that we've really kept on the where they belong is the folks that went to the moon.
Right.
I think we've kind of always had that reverence for that group of individuals, but every industry has those same group of individuals that we just seem to have forgotten. I mean, even the kids today don't know who Jacques Cousteau is. I'm like, what are you
That's
talking about?
absolutely
How is that
wild, yeah.
possible? Like, the dude is the one that first
It's
breathed
the first
underwater.
impression we had as kids.
Yeah, the silent world.
Yeah.
Silent world of Jacques Cousteau. Little
I
did we know
know.
it wasn't
Yeah.
silent at all. There's a ton of noise underwater, from shrimp clicking to whales singing. But I think that's how that was my dad's gateway into becoming a Navy hardhead diver. He fell in love with what Jacques Cousteau was doing, and we just keep losing that memory of those folks that paved the way.
Right.
So
back to beer.
Well, I was going
I
to
was like trying
ask,
to think of a segue there. All right.
That's a hard one to segue to.
in all your
Never mind.
travels and adventures and experiences, what's your biggest horror story of ocean life stuff?
Close calls.
Close calls, shark attacks that you know about, seen, heard.
So
Whatever.
my first gig on Shark Week, I was asked because I'd kind of worked with tiger sharks quite a bit, and if you read the statistics, they're one of the top 3 most dangerous.
Yeah.
I think they're more like St. Bernards. They're pretty goofy. They come in pretty chill. When they can turn it on, they can turn it on, and they can eat a 44-pound Christmas ham in one bite. Which
It's a St. Bernard until it's not.
I've actually seen that play out in real time. We had a 44-pound Christmas ham laying on the bottom, and it just went boob, ate the whole thing in one
Man.
swallow. But my first stick on Shark Week was certainly not science.
Can't
it was
relate.
more a stunt. So I was laying on a surfboard, and there's this really famous tiger shark named Emma at a place called Tiger Beach, which is on the west end of Grand Bahama.
Okay.
Emma's still there. She's still a regular. She's an absolute sweetheart. But so I was laying on a surfboard, and then we had this mechanical turtle just like flopping in the water. And the stunt was to see whether Emma would go for me or go for the fake sea turtle. And the
You
show,
were the guinea pig?
yeah. So the show played it a little different. The show actually, we had to stuff the fake sea turtle full of fish. Because when we actually did the first take, the camera ran out of tape, and Emma had gone up and just bumped the bottom of the surfboard. So, but that was not caught on tape. So that was probably my sketchiest day, or one of them. But Emma and I have come to terms, and she's a good friend of mine. I actually have Emma on my arm right here. There's Emma.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
So she's an amazing ambassador for sharks. Probably the second time I was really worried was when we filmed in Alaska.
With the orcas.
Yeah, well, we were filming a shark called the salmon shark. It's the fastest shark in the world. It swims 55 miles an hour. It's related to the great whites, but they're smaller, about 9 to 10 feet, but rotund, massive things, about 900 pounds. Nobody had ever been in the water with these sharks, but that really wasn't the scary part. The scary part was camping with brown bears for 5 weeks.
Which makes sense.
So there was this time we had filmed the sharks, and we were going up to get B-roll of like the salmon in the river, and we were in this tall grass. We come walking out of the tall grass, and 2 little bear cubs come up and out the other side of the river. I'm like, oh boy, here. My son had just been born. My daughter was like 3. I'm like, I just bought the farm. Like, this is it. I'm done. So I looked we had a guy named Marty Snyderman, who's a legend in the diving and photography world. He was in his 60s at the time. Like, if I sucker punch Marty as hard as I can, maybe I'll get out of here. He doesn't have any kids. I'm gonna run. But that was the one. That was the one singular time. And I've done a lot of hairy stuff, but I think working with sharks, I know how to read sharks. I know how to read marine life. I was in a new world with bears.
And it's bear cubs.
I will never claim to be a bear expert, but I thought, this is it. Okay, this is my last day, and I guess it's a good day.
It's a 1,200-pound dog monster.
So then the next thing
we
we see is the grass like thumping down. I'm like, oh god, here it comes.
It's over.
Mom comes out. Bears have pretty bad sight, but they have amazing smell. She stood up on her haunches, was probably 9 feet tall. Sniffs, swats her kids on the butts, and they all went flying up the hill. I was like, you know, when the adrenaline just like, you know,
her priority was to get the kids out of there.
Oh yeah.
Versus attack
So you know when you had that like really close car accident when you're probably on your phone when you shouldn't have been on 95 and someone slams on the brakes and like all your endorphins like leave at one moment. That's like,
I was
terrifying.
14 years old with my uncle in the Everglades, and he's like, hang right here. He'd been tracking a bear for the better part of a month, knew its path and everything. He's like, all right, come into the woods. And I walk in this clearing, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I see 2 baby black bears walk out. And he makes fun of me because you shit your pants. Yeah! It's a black bear. That's the crazy bear.
No, brown
And
bears are the
I
crazies.
stiffen him like, don't move because those are the babies. He's like, no, come on, we're gonna go pet it. You're out of your mind. He's trying to take pictures and shit. I'm like, Uncle George, pump the brakes.
George.
Those are 2 black.
Where's Mama?
Mama came flying out, stood in front of him, like from me to you, and he's like, you were so scared, buddy. No, like this is bad.
I thought the black ones were fun.
No.
So
I mean, they climb
to a
trees.
degree. Those are my neck of the woods.
There's not
bears.
there's a lot of black bears. Black bears are very common here in Florida, throughout the South. But in Alaska, you get the black bears and the brown bears.
Yeah.
And so a brown bear and a
grizzlies.
grizzly are the same exact species.
Right.
So a brown bear lives on the ocean, a grizzly lives inland, and then there's the Kodiak bear, which is the same species, but it's a isolated pocket, and they're like massive.
Right.
But I think for me that was I've spent so much of my life doing stuff that people are like, oh, you're crazy to do, and to me my best zen moment is surrounded by sharks on a scuba tank, just like chilling out.
Yeah.
And I think people think
you scuba diving soon.
People think I'm nuts.
For years.
But for me, that was the opposite experience of like, okay, how do I react here? But being in their zone, I now have a favorite marine animal, which is the tiger shark. Sorry,
That's
sea
awesome.
turtles. My first love is always going to be my last love. But I love sea turtles as well. Leatherbacks are incredible. The loggerheads are amazing. But my first love is tiger shark.
Awesome.
And then, but now after experiencing grizzly or brown bears, just amazing animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty massive.
What do you think about? I feel like I'm like transitioning us left and right. Just so many
okay.
thoughts.
That's what
Did we
do.
really think this was going to stay on the rails?
No.
No, not with us.
Not a
not
one.
Us four, especially.
We're 10 deep. Not a one has been on.
The sawfish and how they're all sick.
Yes. So what? It's one of the tragic things that's happened recently. A lot of sawfish have actually been killed because of a toxin in the algae. It's taken a long time, but researchers have started to identify what's happened. And there are some marine algae that can release a toxin, and that seems to be what is happening.
So they just get like
those marine
poisoned.
algae are made worse during climate change. So
Hotter temperatures. that kind
hotter
of stuff.
temperatures, I know there's a lot of politics around it, but the science is there. The ocean has never been hotter.
Right.
We are at the precipice of the Gulf Stream shutting down, water temperatures being too high to sustain coral reef environments, and this is all having a trickle down effect. So, the sawfish live on the bottom. If they disturb this algae, that algae releases these toxins, and that's what they're getting into. It affected more than just the sawfish. It affected a number of different coral reef fish and mangrove living fish species, but it's a problem, and I think we need to really look at, again, I think putting politics aside and just looking at the facts. It's okay to say we have a problem. How do we work together? How do we work across the aisle? How do we work within the aisle? How do we just become a beer company and a turtle saving company that just cares about having fish for the next generation, having boating for the next generation, having sawfish for the next generation? Because can you imagine being that parent that needs to say, back in the day we used to have this cool animal that was like an alien, not the weird aliens that we're talking about living on the bottom of the ocean, but this thing's an alien. Right. The thing has a saw on its face, it's flat, it breathes through the top of its head, breathes out the bottom of its head. This is an alien, and do you want to be that parent that says, sorry, we used to have these kids, we don't have them anymore? And I think that's where I think it does take these collaborations, these working together, groups that you wouldn't normally put together.
Yeah, exposing people to things, because so many people take the ocean for granted, and many of them haven't even set foot in the ocean.
Absolutely.
I mean, you look at the entire middle part of the country.
Yep.
I have relatives that come in from Illinois that, they have those typical fears you have of, I don't want to go in the ocean, swim in the ocean, I'll get eaten by a shark. Well, come on,
I hear that every day. How do you do that job? Aren't you eating? One, two.
But first off, they see the environment as hazardous. So I don't care about this. I'm not going to use it ever again. But it's still part of everything that it's it is 2/3 of the entire planet.
Yep.
Water.
2/3. Yep.
It's so many things rely on this, and just because
it's the one thing that makes our planet unique compared to all others. I mean, we can dig on Mars for all we want, but they don't have an ocean at the top.
Correct.
So, I mean, this thought of why don't we protect the planet we're on instead of looking for the planet that we're going to?
I don't
I
get
mean,
that. It's
the
like,
aliens
who cares
clearly
about
like it too.
Who cares about colonizing Mars? Like, who cares?
I want to.
We're never going to go there and live there in a dome.
I know. Do you want to?
I don't want to moon there.
Listen,
I don't
every
live in
introvert-
the same house as people for days.
Every introvert in the world is like, sounds great, but a real person is like, no.
go 200 feet in the ocean and build the same thing.
Yeah,
go
build
live
a-
down
build a
there.
habitat.
The aliens did.
So people, I'll get crushed by the water if it breaks. You'll die if it breaks Mars too.
Exactly.
Difference.
There's not a breathable atmosphere.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. It's just, and you don't have to travel into space to get there.
35 years.
It's always like, hey, we found something that might be ice. If you chill this enough, it will be ice.
Right.
And it's 2/3 of our planet.
Or head north for now. There's still ice.
Yeah, for now, yeah.
We got a little bit of window while that still lasts.
And you
but-
want to go to a place that pretty looks like a barren desert that's orange.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have all these beautiful things you can go see, ice, all the things in the water, and it's in different parts of the world, and it blows me away.
Yeah. And
Even
so-
the aliens wanted to come see our waters.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if they aliens
They heard there were
colonized here-
mermaids,
Well,
so
they're
they
like,
came.
we went on the surface, no intelligent life. Let's go down the water
Yeah.
now. So
but I mean, maybe that's a
Hey,
thing.
there's orcas. There's
they seem way
otters.
smarter than these fucking marsupials on this planet. Or these, not marsupials,
No,
Males.
but the marsupials are on the planet. So
what do you
like-
call primates? Yeah,
Primates,
yeah.
Marsupials have the pouch.
Yeah. A pouch sometimes.
I've got a 6 keg ab.
Kangaroos are scary too.
Yeah, they are. They'll whoop you up.
They will fuck you up.
My favorite video, though, is the kangaroo has his dog by the neck.
Yes.
He gets out of the car, punches the kangaroo in the face.
Right in the face, like just dead. And the dog is still just like, "What do now, Dad?"
No, the kangaroo was like, "Oh, you hit me. Why have you done this?"
I think I'll let the dog down.
Had it in a chokehold.
All right,
Speaking of shark,
We got more
Terrors.
sharks.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a story that still bothers me.
Is
the
it
one-
true?
Yeah, it's on camera.
It's on the internet. It's got to be true.
But it's for real. The guy in Egypt that got eaten by the tiger shark. Dude, that shit
It happens.
bothers me real bad. It
So, I
still
mean-
gets me.
That one guy in Egypt that one time.
I think you have to put
Tiger
everything in
sharks.
perspective. So every year there's less than 100 shark bites, and I don't call them attacks. Attack is a premeditated. I know what I'm after. That's what I'm going to do. I call them shark bites, and there actually has been proven that's a little bit less mistaken identity than it used to be thought. And there's certainly they've completely disproved this idea that a shark gets a taste for man or woman and says that's what I'm going to eat because
Right.
it's easy.
It's curiosity, right?
Well, sharks don't have hands, so they actually feel their environment with their mouth. So they taste in their mouth, they feel in their mouth, and they are opportunistic predators. So if something's looks like it's the right size, could be the right size, why don't I try it? But even with that said, there's less than 100 bites per year from sharks on people. There is less than 5 or between 5 and 6 fatalities every year. We're killing sharks at a rate of almost 100 million sharks per year in
God.
targeted fishing for sharks. And that's targeted fishing, that's bycatch, that's shark fins.
Yeah.
So I think who needs to be afraid of who? That's a pretty clear conversation. And I don't know if you've ever gotten your bag of chips or your Snickers bar stuck in a vending machine. You like, oh crap, my thing's stuck. A falling vending machine kills more people every year than sharks.
And coconuts.
Coconuts is way higher.
I
But
know.
falling
coconuts
vending
is insane.
machines.
This isn't me saying
These are
shark
odd
attacks
statistics.
are happening everywhere. This is me saying, damn.
Yep.
Speaking of
So-
the ocean,
Well,
that shit
all
was
those statistics
sad.
you wrote, you cited about shark bites, I bet you 90% of them are Australia.
fair.
Actually, New Smyrna Beach.
Oh, no,
is-
somewhere to be.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, Florida or Australia.
New Smyrna Beach
Same thing.
has
Yeah.
been and probably always will be just based on the topography and but it's all little black tips and spinner sharks. So it's usually a bite on the hand or the foot, a few stitches, and you're we're not talking massive.
As long as I don't die,
Traumatic
like
issues.
I would be like, okay, I understand. You were like, what the hell is that thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then
Like,
you get a really cool scar.
Well,
yeah,
and,
I'm fine with that.
with
Knock on wood.
with shark and the perception, you think like going back to Shark Week and the way things somewhat get sensationalized
Yeah.
and what they focus on. Do you think Shark Week does a good enough job to balance that out from a conservation aspect versus highlighting, the kills?
No,
No,
They're
Dave.
sitting
People,
here
people
like-
were very made aware of sharks when Michael Phelps raced a shark.
Well, yeah,
On TV.
virtually.
Yeah.
They
Did he?
timed them separately.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were not in the same body of water.
That doesn't count.
Spoiler alert: the shark won.
Yeah. So, for me, like any TV programming, I think we have to understand what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's a TV program.
A reenactment.
It's meant for entertainment. The one thing I can say unequivocally is my time at Discovery, they gave me an unbelievable platform to talk on Fox, CNN, NBC Today show, CBS Early Show. They said, talk about Shark Week and the exciting programs we have, and then use every chance you can to talk about shark conservation and shark issues. So to me, I will be eternally grateful to the Discovery Channel for giving me that platform for 7 years. I think, like any business, some years you have a different production team. So the way Shark Week works is independent production companies get hired to do the shows.
Yeah.
And then there's one executive producer that really kind of manages the Shark Week year. So any given year, you're going to have a bit more bitey attack stories, and then some years you're going to have more sciencey stories. Does the good outweigh the bad? I would say that where we were in the 70s with Jaws and where we're at today with people loving sharks, having Sharky Shark song and the shark on the Katy Perry song or whatever. I don't remember who had the shark.
What is the
Shit.
Sharky song? It's
there's like this one.
No, there's
shark
well,
in
Baby
the
Shark,
water.
Baby,
Yeah,
baby
that's
shark.
yeah,
Don't.
yeah.
Oh no, you gotta
Am I
edit
the
that.
wrong
and
one?
put it on YouTube. We'll get struck.
So
It's like Jamie Tart.
Yeah, Jamie Tart. Jamie Tart.
Tart?
Yeah, from
Ted Lasso.
the name of the
Yeah.
song is Baby Shark. Jamie
Yes.
Tart just happened to rhyme with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And Katy Perry and the Super Bowl, she had two sharks.
She had two sharks on either
mascots.
side.
Right. One shark was not very good.
Left
The
shark.
other shark was
Left
incredible.
shark wasn't working.
Yeah.
Because I think
So
like
I think
more.
where we're at from a popular culture standpoint, and from where we're at with a whole generation of people that said, I want to do that. I want to see that. So I think when you weigh the scales, I think Shark Week has done an amazing job keeping sharks front and center. Has it always been clean and neat? No. But have they done an amazing job? When I worked for them, they were the biggest advocates for getting sharks out there. We partner with Oceana. We partner with the Ocean Conservancy. How do you use that platform to do more good?
Yeah, and I brought that up because, like, I remember growing up in the 80s, you would watch Shark Week, and it was scary to get in the water.
Yep.
But now it's like the conservation aspects, like you said, like the Oceana thing, like tagging the great whites, going to South Africa. It's so much more conservation-based than I've ever seen it.
Yep.
And it's just like that's what you take away from so much of it now. It's just like, you know, there was one episode they're in some of the Panhandle or the Yucatan in Mexico or something like that, and they're building these devices to put around people when they're diving for whatever they're diving for.
Yeah.
And just like the conservation aspect of it all, it's like there's we're invading their environments. It's mistaken identity most of the time. So let's protect you guys.
That's what
when
I'll
you're down
pound the
there.
table on. I'm like, you're in their
So
home.
the one thing I can say is, now being a sea turtle advocate, I would freaking love it if there was Sea Turtle Week.
Well,
And-
that's
and
how
so-
I was going with it. Though.
Why
It's
don't we
it
do
goes
one?
back to like
Why are we not starting
the
this?
awareness factor. That like people know so much about sharks because of Shark Week.
Right.
Having that show that focuses on something else,
Absolutely.
that translates to a mainstream, and again, you go back to a production value and how do you hype that up, make
It's a
it
cartoon.
make something, and it could be a cartoon.
But I mean, I think that's the reality, right?
Yeah.
Is that it's easy to sit back in an armchair and kind of put down Shark Week for some of the goods and the bads.
yeah.
But if you asked a bear biologist, would they have Bear Week every year? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, and then you
Prairie
end up-
Dog Week. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then you end up with like 8 shows of Kobayashi versus a grizzly bear in a hot dog contest, which is a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that poor
Again,
white guy.
spoiler alert, the grizzly bear won. Yeah.
or the guy that camped with the bears
And
for
got mauled
Grizzly man.
on
Oh my!
record.
Well, the crazy thing about that
that's
dude
another
was
one. That's like equal to
he was not into
tiger shark guy.
conservation. He was into himself because he's sitting there. He's like, "Oh, there's my friend the fox. Hello, fox."
Right. It became I mean, I think that's a fine line you always, especially in the business of being in an aquarium or being in a center, like we name all of our sea turtles.
Right.
We do that so that the people can connect with our sea turtles. It's not because we have an anthropomorphic connection. Oh, that really embodies.
No, that guy did have
Like
that.
that turtle doesn't really make me think of falafel, although its name is falafel, which is what we've had. I think we have a lot of food names here recently. But I think it does. It breaks down that barrier of, okay, this sea turtle now has a name. How do I relate to it?
Right.
But I do think that is a fine line to walk, because these are always going to be wild animals. They are not domesticated. Even our fish populations, we have amazing aquarium habitats here. And that's to talk about the ecosystems. We have gray snapper or mangrove snapper. We have redfish, look downs, Atlantic stingrays. That's so that people can see the habitats that the sea turtles live in. Yes, do our staff get connected to them? Yes, but they're never pets.
Right.
And I think it's important in the sea turtle world to understand that, yes, it might be named, but as soon as it can, it's going back out.
Well, David Attenborough also said, don't mess with nature. If we're watching them, let them go, let them figure it out. Grizzly Man was like upstream, like, my friend Dolly needs fish, and like would like.
Are we talking about the same guy that came
that
down
got that
mauled
eventually
on-
got eaten? He goes,
mauled?
"Oh, hello, Mary," and Mary was not hibernating, severely emaciated, and said, "Sweet meals on wheels."
Well,
And
it was literally like on
Meals on
record.
Heels.
You
Yeah,
hear
Meals
him
on
getting,
Heels. Yeah,
like-
because it was him and his girlfriend.
Right, okay, same person.
Hot topics.
Literally gets mauled.
No, that is
On-
one of the more interesting documentaries of all time, because that guy was out there.
Well, I mean, I think there's that fine line between science and passion, and I think it is, we care deeply for our animals. We really do. And I think, as someone that's the head of the organization, I can tell you our animals eat better than our staff do.
That's great.
Myself included. I don't eat like they do. And I think that's a commitment to putting animal care first. And
That's
I think
awesome.
that's anybody in the animal serving world needs to have that focus. And I think we've talked about a number of aquariums and SeaWorld. There are a number of places that put the animal care as priority number one, and you got to lead with that heart.
That's awesome.
So
was a
I guess I'm
buzzkill.
still probably
Man.
going to try to domesticate a raccoon that's been abandoned by its mother and has nowhere else to go.
Haven't you watched the internet? What they happened to Peanut the squirrel?
Oh yeah.
You know, that's why I wouldn't make Dolly the raccoon famous. That's what its name's
The
gonna
raccoon
be.
has a name and it's named after your hero. That's incredible.
You do know that raccoons are vectors for rabies, right?
But
Rabies is 100% fatal. There's not a 99%. It's 100, and you burn up.
maybe I'll get it before it gets rabies, and that won't be
you get a
problem.
fever.
You got to
Like-
watch the movie Chimp Crazy because they're like, well, maybe after 7 years old, this chimp will treat me like a person.
You
about
get a
like a
fever of like
baby.
128 degrees, and then you just burn up.
I'm talking
you
about
get
a baby
from the
one.
inside.
No, you
Yeah,
get
your
Oregon.
organs roast.
You get Oregon Trail diseases.
You actually
from
become a
rat.
hot. You
I just
become a
feel like you
human
both are
hot
yelling
pocket.
at me right now.
You become a human hot pocket.
Hey, transition back to the turtle thing though. Like, so
Enough with the raccoons.
the raccoons.
No,
When
you
guys
get
into
Oregon
turtles
Trail
come-
diseases from a raccoon. Yeah.
When you guys get into turtles that come in, is it always kind of like an emergency situation, or is it kind of like triage and then kind of get them here to? When they come in, are they kind of 50-50? Like, I'm just trying to think from like we talked about the video aspect and like showing the real things that are happening.
Yep. So
And-
it's
sorry, go
multiple
ahead.
sources. You know, obviously we rely on a network, and most of these are very conservation-minded boaters, fisher persons that report in a turtle that's floating, or they'll find a turtle that's entangled in a net.
Yeah.
They'll call FWC. A lot of times these people are actually, because they are regulars in spotting this stuff and they're concerned citizens, they know that there's a FWC wildlife number that you can call. And then the FWC will either guide you. Oftentimes, if they don't have a vessel close, they'll say, "Why don't you bring the turtle on the boat? We'll meet you at X, Y, or Z dock."
Okay.
And then they'll bring it there. If it's close enough to our facility, they might send us out to go retrieve it at the dock. So they come in any number of conditions. Some of them come in with their shell split wide open. Some of them come in with pretty traumatic issues with bones sticking out of where their flipper should be.
Yeah.
Typically speaking, in the research world and in the rehabilitation world, about 33% of the patients die within a day or so of intake. Another 33 roughly percent don't make it full term to release, and then you are talking about another third of the population that does make it to release. Right now at Loggerhead Marinelife Center, we have about a 73% success rate.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
And it's twofold. It's having a community that's looking out for this, having a very rapid response team, having a great relationship with Florida's Fish and Wildlife Commission, knowing that we're a place that really traumatic cases can be brought to, and that we're going to give it everything we can. We just released a turtle named Dwight, named for Dwight Freeney, the Hall of Fame.
I was
football
hoping it was
player.
Dwight Schrute.
No, I mean Dwight Freeney and his family have been regulars here.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Dwight and his family are just amazing human beings, amazing patrons of ours, and so it was the week that he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. So we named Dwight the turtle for Dwight. I mean, huge, fifth apart, right?
Yeah.
So we released Dwight about probably in November of last year, and Dwight, probably by the time you added up all the time and energy, was probably about a $150,000 to $200,000 turtle.
Wow.
Wow.
So I think it's easy to think, we do what we can. No, we pull out all the stops, and we will go through as much care as that turtle needs. And our head veterinarian, Dr. Heather Barron, is just an absolute rock star at trying to get turtles from the brink of death to success, and then hopefully, if they're going to be viable, back out to the ocean.
Do you ever have to call time of death?
Yeah, I mean, we do. I mean,
You have to literally say time of death.
No, we never make that statement,
I was
but
wondering.
because nobody looks at those records. But
Law
kinda
and
dark.
Order, Sea Turtle Edition.
A little Grey's Anatomy
But I mean,
question, if you will.
but it is
Time of death.
It's probably the hardest part of our job is we do make life and death decisions every day, and
I'm a child on the podcast that asks the question, the intrusive questions that come to my brain.
it's
Sitting next to a scientist who is sitting
do
here
you
like
ever say time of death?
time of. That's the first thing that comes. You know what? Moving on.
All right, so nice podcast here today, guys.
Sorry.
Time of death.
Time of death of the
Time of death of the podcast.
3:16 p.m.
3:16.
Eastern Standard Time.
And cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
No, guys, probably gonna wrap it up here. This year, I mean, first and foremost, we have Turtle Fest coming up February 22nd, 23rd. Come out. It's a fantastic event. Stage are set up. Great bands are coming out to play all day. just an immersive environment inside the actual Marine Life Center here, as far as the people are volunteering to expose people what's going on. You have some great beer and rum up on the sky deck up
Vendors
here.
all around.
Yes, vendors all around. It's just a great experience, and if you get a chance, I mean, they take over the entire parking lot in the back. Tons of vendors out there. It's an entire day event, and
right across from the beach.
it's a great time of
That's
year
great.
too. In February, it's always a nice breeze, and definitely come out February 22nd, 23rd. Loggerhead Marine Life Center.
Yeah, it's free, by the
And
way.
it's free
And
as well.
Very kid friendly. We
Yep.
actually have a seaside slide. We've got bungee jumping. We've got.
Well, we have hot dogs this year.
I'm sure you'll find a way. There's always Dune Dog. There's always Dune Dog. so. So it's a kid friendly event despite the hot dogs.
For me. Kid friendly for me.
Emily, is there anything else you'd like to see at Turtle Fest? Do you have a pickle stand?
Amazing merch. We've got amazing craft vendors and kind of marine themed vendors throughout the thing. The lineup for music this year is top notch.
Oh yeah.
Two of my favorite acts, the Leafy Greens, which is a local band.
Oh, they're amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
Love
They
them,
are
been following them
fantastic,
for
and
a
they've been with
long
us
time.
for years. They are such a sweet group.
Yep.
And then one of my good friends, Brooks Herring, is a Nashville recording artist. He's going to be playing both days. So yeah, I mean, it's just from activities for the kids to just adult hangout in the afternoon. We got great events going both Saturday and Sunday.
No.
Cheers, beers, turtles.
Yeah.
There we go.
Come out and
There
support
you
them.
go.
Everything
You
goes
just got
towards
the
Loggerhead.
tagline to our
But
Not
no,
yet.
Way to
but no
recover,
hot
Emily.
dogs. Sorry.
Way to recover.
cheers, beers, turtles, no hot dog.
No. I will bring the damn hot dogs if I have to.
I think we have some lot of good ideas. I mean, going back to
Do you
what
want
we
a pocket dog?
talked about a year and a half ago about
I was going to say hot dogs.
the awareness side of things, and using that, I think it goes back to the Shark Week. But how do we make that Turtle Week?
Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
awareness of that, and there's so many things that just exposing people to it all, and getting them aware of just the different turtles out there, how they're impacted, and so on and so on. So
Is this where we start our own TV show?
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
I think so.
that's it happening.
Yeah. So that's why I was, kind of asking, that aspect of it.
It's our
and-
idea first,
you know,
everybody.
So who's
Back
got
off.
the $450,000 budget for a 1 hour or 44
Well,
Nate.
minute special?
We'll go
I'll
find
tell
it.
you,
So,
it's
yeah,
not
we'll-
me.
Yeah.
We'll hit up some of those LMC donors you guys
Yeah.
have here. So I'm
Back-
sure
I'm
they
sure-
I have a
get
friend.
behind it.
Sure that would
Hello,
go over well.
Abraham Lincoln.
We're diverting all these funds for a TV show. Oh, great, thanks.
But that's, I asked the question, like a Shark Week, how do you keep people's attention?
Yeah.
And educate them, but also keep them excited at the same time. Not bore them to death. There's a balance to that, and trying to develop that, I think it's something cool to do.
Well, I mean, I think certainly there are some great ambassadors for the ocean, and sharks, dolphins, and turtles are amazing advocates and,
Oh, don't get me started on the dolphins.
banner species for the ocean. So, but between those three animals, I don't know that I've ever known a kid that doesn't love one of the three,
Agreed.
if not all three.
Yeah.
So, I think it is, but I think I think it does take a lot of different groups, and I think that's what's great about this collaboration with you guys is you guys are willing to think outside of the box and
Oh, yeah.
outside of the can to say what works
love that.
and how do
Think
we
outside the can. I like that.
how do we make a difference in this world?
Yeah.
Because there are not, unfortunately, there's not every company does not say how do I make a difference
I think
Yeah.
that's the name of it. Outside the can.
outside the can.
Think outside the
Outside the
can.
can.
I like that.
Yeah.
I
All
like
right,
Turtle
guys.
Week.
I like Turtle Week as well.
Andy, thanks again for putting up with us
Absolutely.
today.
Incredible.
Really appreciate it.
Always
Looking forward to another years to come, and just what a stellar year to begin with.
It's
and
been an awesome
Is it
ride.
safe to say that our partnership goes beyond 2025?
Oh, well beyond.
Oh yeah.
Because that was kind of the
Or
agreement in the
Emily's
beginning, right?
time of death partnership.
Everybody go save a turtle.
We didn't ruin it on the podcast. Today, I don't think,
Go to your
so-
favorite Total Wine. Go to your favorite Publix. Go save a turtle, please.
Yeah, but Andy, thanks
Absolutely.
again for having us today. LMC, obviously, awesome spot here. You can see some behind us, a lot of tanks, and
Shark
thanks
fittings.
again.
Yeah.
Loggerhead Turtle Fest, February 22nd, 23rd. You guys come out there, drink some good beer, drink some good rum, have a great time here at the Marine Life Center.
Yeah, come
Andy?
visit us. We're on marinelife.org, right in Juno Beach, off Don Ross Boulevard. So.
And you can find that address on the side of your Hazy IPA. Follow the QR code.
There you go.
It'll be Loggerhead Hazy IPA
All right, guys.
soon.
Cheers to Andy putting with us today.
Cheers.
Thanks for having us
Cheers.
again.
Thanks, guys.
Guys,
Absolutely.
thanks again. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us today on Florida's Drinking Report, live from Loggerhead Marine Life Center. Thanks again.
All right. Unreal.
Man.
That was awesome.
That was fun.